Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a review, first one I've done for a little while. You'll probably be aware of what it's going to be. Anyway, it is for this book, The Wolves of Leninsky Prospekt by Sarah Armstrong. This was a proof copy I received from the publisher Sandstone Press in exchange for an honest review. So thank you very much to Sandstone for sending me this. The release date for this novel is the 17th of January, so very soon. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, but before I go into what I enjoyed about it, let me just tell you a little brief synopsis of the story. So it's set in 1973. The main character is called Martha, and at the start of the novel she is a student at Cambridge University, and she and her friends are protesting that some of the colleges don't let in female students, and they're caught, and she is kicked out of Cambridge and has to return home to her family, who are very disappointed in her. Her father's got a position in the government that it's not ever really spelled out what he does. Martha doesn't really know what he does. To try and bring her back into line, her parents have this future planned out for her where they can keep an eye on her, and she's not allowed to talk to her friends. She just starts to feel very stifled and trapped. And then she gets an opportunity. A friend of her brother's, Kit, is a diplomat that has just been posted to Moscow, and he's about to move out there, and she sees this as an opportunity for a little bit of an adventure. Kit is gay. At the time this was not okay. It put him in quite a difficult, dangerous position as a diplomat, so she suggests to him that they should get married, and then it gives him that bit of protection that his lifestyle is then more acceptable because he's got a wife, so he must be alright. And it gives her a chance to escape from her parents and have a bit of an adventure. She's fascinated by Russia and she is really keen to find out more. So he goes out to Moscow ahead of her, and then so she starts to do a bit of research, and then a few months later she follows him out there and starts to try and learn her way around the city, tries to meet people and make friends, but she finds herself at odds with the other diplomats' wives. She doesn't really get on with them. They're sort of quite happy to not know anything about what's going on and to stay in their own little bubble, whereas she wants to explore the city and she wants to find out more about the Russian people. And she ends up getting herself not particularly into danger, but it's sort of, there's some tension, there's some drama. She doesn't know who she can trust, she doesn't know who she can turn to, and yeah, there's a lot of intrigue. So that's the synopsis. I'm trying not to give too much away. I'm not giving much more away than what you find out from reading the blurb anyway. I do need to point out a trigger warning for one scene of an attempt at sexual assault. Also, there's not any explicit violence, but there's reference to violence. I think that's it. But yeah, no, just be aware if you're interested in reading that, but that's something that you're sensitive to. There is an episode of an attempt at sexual assault in there. I'm just talking a little bit about the character. So the main character is obviously Martha. It's told in first person, so it's from Martha's perspective. She's a really fun character. I really liked her. She's really endearing. She's sort of a good mix of intelligent but also really naive. She's very quick to work things out, but also she is very trusting and sort of doesn't expect herself to find any problems. She does manage to get herself into a few little scrapes, but she's fascinated with people, and that's what drives her. She wants to learn more about the people and the culture, and that's where she can get herself into trouble. There's quite a big cast of supporting characters. Martha's the only real main character. Even Kit is not, because of the nature of their relationship, he sort of doesn't feature too much as a main character. He's still really a supporting character to Martha. And then there's various other characters. There's a friend of his called Charlie. Charlie's wife Alison and son Bobby are also feature in the story. And then there's a small crowd of diplomat wives. So Sandra is the most interesting one of them. And then there's there's a few other wives of the diplomats. And then there's two other characters who Martha meets and befriends, who are both linked with the British Embassy in some way, so she thinks she can trust them, but she can't necessarily. So they're both quite fascinating characters. There's Eva and there's Layla. So what makes the story intriguing and good and intriguing is that whole thing of she doesn't know who she can trust, because she doesn't feel like she fits in with the embassy crowd, so she doesn't really want to get to know them or spend time with them. But of the other people, the Russians she meets, like their maid and her Russian teacher, she doesn't She knows she can't really trust them. She knows that there's probably people with listening in that have planted listening devices in their apartment. And so it's her trying to find her way through all of these situations, and she's just got such a zest for life and wanting to meet people and befriend people, and that's what makes it intriguing, is her trying to navigate her way through the city and through those relationships. This was really beautifully written. It's very character driven rather than plot driven, so there are events that happen, but it's more about the exploration of Martha's character. So the focus is how Martha develops and how she reacts to the different situations she finds herself in. The writing's very evocative, it's very atmospheric. I could picture the scenes, I felt like I was in Moscow with Martha, exploring with her. So it was beautifully described. There was a lot to enjoy about this book. One of my favourite parts of it was before she leaves England, Martha's researching Moscow in the library, and she's given a little booklet which is a collection of short stories set in Moscow, and these are peppered throughout the rest of the book, and they feel quite inspired by Russian folklore. The idea is that they were potentially written by one of the other characters, but it's never very clear if that's true or not, and they're sort of quite fanciful, sort of fairy tale like quality to them. They were really interesting, and part of the reason why I kept wanting to read more is to get to the next one. Yeah, I just really enjoyed seeing how Martha relates to the other characters and how those relationships work and develop. For all of them, I wanted more. I think that's my only criticism of the book, is that there's not enough of it. It's too short. I just wanted to have more of her relationship with Kit and more of her friendships, particularly with Eva and with Sandra. Sandra was a really interesting character that wasn't in it for very long, and I wanted more of all of it. I'd love there to be a continuation of what happens to Martha next after the end of the story. I don't know if there will be. I think it's probably a standalone, but if it turned out to not be a standalone, that would not be a bad thing. So all in all, very highly recommend this. It's, as I say, it's out on the 17th of January, so I do want to buy a copy. I'm now on a book buying ban, but it will go down on my wish list for wanting to get a proper published copy at some point in the future, and I really, really highly recommend going out and buying this if you like gentle intrigue spy thrillers. It's not intense at all. There are dangerous situations, but it's not like a James Bond style spy drama. It's much more slow paced and intrigued and tensioning. Those are not words. So if you like that sort of thing, if you're interested in the Cold War or in Russian geography and Russian cities and that sort of thing, you'll probably enjoy this. If you like slow paced character driven novels, you will probably like this. So highly recommended, and thank you again to Sandstone Press for sending me an advance copy to read. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!